Sorry, assholes, your quiet day at the office is about to get severely fucked up.
Guys, welcome back to the After Action Review. You know me, I'm Nick Guy, the world's most okayest Green Beret. And in keeping in our tradition of adding a little bit of excellence to the show, and I bring on only the most excellent of guests, we got Jason today. Jason, you guys know him as James Powell on Twitter. 10 years in the Corps as a knuckle dragger and the grunt that we love, and then as a aircraft recovery specialist, and then he went over to the agency and did some time as a staff operations officer. Jason, thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a minute. We needed to get together.
Dude, this has been like weeks in the making.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad to get you on.
Same.
So before you go any further, you know I had to plug the product. SOLATAC, guys. Southern Louisiana Tactical. SOLATAC. You guys know Demps. He's on Twitter. And he spent his entire life in emergency medicine, trauma management, doing offshore medical work on offshore oil rigs. And he is creating in my opinion, the finest IFAKs that money can buy outside like the normal defense, procurement route. This is your best bang for your buck. It's super tiny. It's super small, fits into your car, fits into your backpack, throw it on your Boogaloo kit, whatever you want to do. It's right here. It's got everything you need with all the same components that I used and James used when we were doing much cooler stuff than we are today. So check it out, solatac.com. All right, Jason, let's just kick it off, dude. All right, big news today. Rocket attack in Iraq. And this is kind of still a developing story, so we don't know really who's responsible. I mean, we can all take our guesses as to what. But basically, 3 coalition troops, 2 Americans and 1 Brit, were killed at Camp Taji in Iraq. I mean, we've been seeing this for years. I mean, in your opinion, was this just a continuation of Iranian proxies doing what Iranian proxies do?
Yeah, I believe so. As soon as I saw this story, I think it's as tragic as it is, it's just Iran continuing to do what they do. Give the marching orders, and I'd say it, but reap the benefits of watching us mourn. More of our people getting killed.
I mean, it's just, God, you hate to say it, but it's Groundhog Day. For far and away, combat operations have ceased on a whole. Obviously, special operations are still doing their thing in Syria and northern Iraq. We just lost those 2 Marine raiders in northern Iraq over the weekend, and word on the street says that was a nasty firefight. I don't know much personally about it, but a bunch of media types were saying that CAG had to end up going in there, rolling heavy to recover the bodies because it was just that brutal of a fight. But Camp Taji, man, that's like, those are support kids, and kids just kind of riding out their 9-month trip to the Middle East, and
it's sad. It's and I would say these days most kids joining know that there is a less of a chance, but now there's still a chance that they're going to end up over there. But something like this, nobody expects it.
No, and it's a rocket attack. Like that's the worst too, because they're minding their business. Chances are the kids were walking out of the DFAC or heading over from the green bean. So I don't know, man. Like, can we do you ever foresee? Oh, hold on. Oh, that was awful. My bad. But I mean, are you ever foreseeing like us getting out of this quagmire? I mean, we said it all. We're all on Twitter. We're all, throwing our good ideas out and with our feelings on endless quagmires and operations in the Middle East. I mean, is there a legitimate way out?
Me not being an expert on, world affairs, I don't think we'll ever 100% be out of the country. Let's, for example, Somalia. We were there in what, 92, 93, 94, a little bit of 95. And then everybody forgot about it, after the whole Battle of Mogadishu. But we're still there. We still have people there. I think as long as there's at least intel to collect on the ground, there's going to be Americans there. So the chances of them being hurt or killed are still there.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it's a reality of the world. We can't go back to that early 20th century isolationism because that's not the way the world works anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, we're going to have to find a happy medium so that we don't have just kids sitting in Camp Taji.
Yeah.
And doing what? I don't even think they're running logistics or anything anymore.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think anybody needs to die.
No.
And not for that. No. So, I mean, we'll see what goes on. I mean, God, the last time we had a run-in with a situation like this, we retaliated and the world lost its collective mind.
Yeah.
like everybody was prepping for World War III.
Yeah.
Over a targeted killing. I mean, are we going to see? I mean, is this the new reality for Iran? I mean, they kill some of our people, we kill somebody high ranking, and everybody freaks out for 2 weeks, and it's back to business.
I think, in my opinion, if something like this or any incident after this can be beyond the shadow of a doubt proven that it was Iran, whether it's through video or whatever it is, whatever the intel says, I think we'll retaliate. And my issue would be, how much does it escalate? Before it was, it was very limited, the response. So that's my fear, is that it would escalate and some of these kids, as you said, will end up, being thrown in the meat grinder because of it.
So, I mean, is that just, do we resign ourselves to this cycle of limited retaliation? Nobody learns I mean, and I know there's no easy answer. Everybody, everybody that wants to just, let's teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
But what does that lead to is war,
Exactly.
and that's not good. But if we just kill, all right, one or two high-ranking people, maybe they're not getting the message, and then this just continues.
Yeah.
It's a no-win situation, man. Honestly, the second that we stepped foot in the Middle East, we made our bed.
We definitely kicked the hornet's nest there.
Good God.
Yeah, and again, it's like when you're walking through the mud and you get your boot stuck in the mud. It's like you're gonna pay a price. You might lose your boot pulling your foot out, but and that's how it is in the Middle East. We're gonna get bloodied while we're there, but if we're not there, at least in a limited capacity, who knows? I hate to say it, God, I hate to sound like the cliche, but it may come to our backyard, and who knows?
I mean, God, and nobody wants that. I mean, you don't want to let these, that's a doomsday scenario. One of these terror organizations somehow develops unchecked. They're somehow able to develop a force projection, and I don't mean that in purely military terms, but Al Qaeda had a form of force projection when on 9/11. I mean, that wasn't by any sort of traditional definition of what that means in terms of military science or anything like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But they were able to do that, and and that is a fear. I think it definitely sits in the back of everybody's mind. But then, I sit there. I did 3 tours to Syria with a little bit of time in Iraq and Jordan thrown in, and it's easy, man, just to say, dude, this place is not worth it. Like this place isn't worth American lives. They don't necessarily want us. So like, screw them. And
and it is, because especially when you're losing friends or you're seeing these stories day after day after day, it's like, what are we getting from it? What are we, like, literally, it's almost like a World War I trench warfare standoff. We are getting nothing from it, and I'm sure, I don't know if people can write in or call in or whatever. I'm sure I'm going to get dragged for that, but I say bring them home. I mean, if we have to have an intel presence there, an SF presence, or soft presence there, okay, but even then, what if, our limited presence there gets hit? Now we start all over again, so who knows?
I mean, I've had Joe Kent on the show a couple of times, and he knows better than anybody else the cost of war, losing his wife. And he's a big proponent of pulling out, but he makes a good point. This could all be done. Like, we could, like, boots off the ground, we could be out and honestly just enforce it with superior air power, which the United States stands alone in. It's expensive, yes, but it's not as expensive. At least I'd rather spend in treasure rather than spend blood.
Absolutely.
So if you could do it from the air, if you could do it with a limited, intelligence presence, a soft presence, maybe like that limited advisor role, things like that, that's something to consider. But yeah, man, like, I saw those 2 kids were killed, and I was like, God, for what? Like, at least, like, in the height of the war, like, even if nobody liked the war, like, in the height of the war, kid gets killed, you can kind of, you can at least go to the family and say they were fighting for something. Like, here, man, like, and it might not have been good reasons, but they were still fighting for something. Like, here, like, I don't know how you like, look a mother and father in the face and say, I'm sorry, he was killed sitting at Camp Taji. Like, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
there's just so much. It's just not as black and white as Twitter or other social media platforms make it. You have the people on one hand are saying, just back off and turn the place into a parking lot or whatever. And you have the others that are like, bring everybody home, to hell with them. And it's like, it's not as black and white as that, because we haven't even talked about, as soon as we, the whole water analogy, as soon as we leave, Russia has a stake in the area, Iran. There's just so many other players that would love for us to step out, hands off, and so they can step in.
Yeah, and well, that's one of the reasons I like doing this, is because, like Twitter, you have 240 characters, and everybody is an asshole on there. So I like to hash these things out.
Yeah.
But I don't, the way of the world, man, like, Russia was very excited to fill that void in Syria.
Oh yeah.
And now, like Russia was there when I was in Syria, and they were kind of always there, and they were a pain in our ass when it came to like combined air operations center operations and, no fly zones, things like that, RASs, everything. They were always a thorn in our side. And they were always kind of there too. Like, we could see them, like, out over there, operating and things like that. And, it was a legitimate concern when people were like, oh, well, we leave, Russia moves in. And I was like, well, Russia's kind of already there. They're propping up the Assad, regime, because they 100% need that warm water port in Syria. That is their only year round, not encased by
not
ice.
Changed from their 60s. Their strategy back during the Cold War has not changed. They want that warm water port.
Yeah, it really hasn't. And then so we kind of did that fake pullout, and there was a lot of, I think, people bought into the Russian IO with the like the Russians at the abandoned camp, and everybody's like, see, this is what happens. I mean, personally, I was like, so what? What do they get? They got HESCOs and spit bottles and like shit pits. Like that's what they got. But now, see, I think it's interesting because Russia has bought it now. They're involved, and I don't know if Russia can actually get out of Syria right now because they're so involved with the regime. And now you have all this nastiness with Turkey in the north, and now there's like all these reports of like Russians and Turks murking each other, and I sit back and I go, who cares? Like that, I think that's a good thing. Personally, I don't like the Russians nor the Turks, but I mean, I think you could make the argument that Russia kind of replaced, the United States in being stuck in an uncompromising position in Syria.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, they were wooing Turkey for a while, with the missiles, with the anti-aircraft missiles, and they were wooing them for a while. But then when Syria opened up, it was like, shit. Well, you're our boys and all, but we're gonna step over here and take this and hang with Assad. And then Turkey was like, oh fuck no, well we're keeping the missiles and we're we're gonna shoot back. So it's like there's that whole section. It's like I said, it's not black and white. All of that could easily spill over into Iraq and other areas of the region.
Yeah, and I mean, those are two regional powers. This isn't like the United States. It's not like a world power going up against irregular force and the Mujahideen or anything like that. Like you have two regional powers, like Russia and Turkey, who have a track record of kind of like being crazy. Like they do things that wouldn't make sense, things we wouldn't do. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm going to like Turkey. God. What they did was crazy. Oh, we really want the S-400 anti-air missile. We're going to court Russia to sell it to us. And then we're just going to piss them off because of some sort of nationalist pride on our southern border.
Yep.
And they did it. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I think that's gonna be a really interesting. We're gonna see how involved those two parties get. And I don't know if either of them are going to leave Syria. I think they might be stuck with each other for a bit.
I was just going to say, I think for both of them, this is a long game, and they're just going to wait each other out,
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, God. Well, the MENA is always a mess. It's always a MENA mess. We could go on for hours about it. But, dude, today, Twitter, you and I both saw this thread. And normally I don't like giving attention to like single threads on this. But it is appropriate that we do, this is all about, military foreign policy. Thread posted by somebody who runs in the military Twitter circles. We're not going to say names. We're not going to do anything. I'm sure you guys have seen it. So thread by a former 160th aviator, 60 driver, I believe. And dude, you saw this thread. Like the guy and I have had run-ins in the past. I don't particularly get along with him. And then we see this thread because we're in the height of election season right now. And people are feeling very strongly about the Democratic candidates' prospects. And what that means and whether or not they can unite a party. And I'm just gonna read this a little bit of this thread, and then Jason, I want your thoughts on this.
Absolutely.
All right, here's the truth. I am a straight white Christian educated American male who makes a fuck ton of money. Elections can't even touch me. Fuck it, vote for Trump, or ignore Biden because your favorite grandpa didn't get the nod. Go for it, I still win. Trump is a plus for me. The thing is, he's still a cancerous ghoul whose only goal is power and wealth, and he's happy to take a big syphilitic piss on the Constitution and the institutional strength of America to do it. But again, I still win. I'll pay lower taxes, and my kids will surpass yours. I get why people like the guy, especially fat-faced dimwits. He's the dumb bully they never got to be. He exudes a tasteless person's vision of status. He's what every angry moron thinks he'd be if only the liberals, Jews, welfare queens, etc. hadn't ruined the American dream, and blah, blah, blah. My God, it just, dude, this shit just spirals into, and you know what I think it spirals down to? Some serious self-loathing, honestly. I think that's what it boils down to.
Yep.
This is a guy who, he took a thread and he took this massive chip on his shoulder, this sense of superiority. He mixed it in with, I can only assume, is some rich white guilt. And then he finished it off with a dab of caring. The thread ends with, be better. Start treating, disenfranchised individuals better. The irony of this thread is that came in the same breath as just totally shitting on people for not being rich enough, not being wealthy enough, not being educated enough. And this is kind of this dude's whole shtick on Twitter. It's just, I don't even think it's a persona. I think that's just who he is. But dude, you saw it. I think a lot of people latched onto it, but I think a lot of people on all sides of the political spectrum would look at that and be like, wow, this is a weird flex. This is a weird, it's a weird take. Like, why would you expose yourself like that? Dude, do you have any thoughts on this? Because I'm still reeling from it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know the guy. You filled me in on a little bit of his background and all, but when I saw it and I read it, literally the only thing, not the only thing, but the main thing I took out of it is when he said, I still win. And so basically everything else around it, the shit talk and disparaging people and all that stuff, and even the do better, the I still win, that's him. That tells me that's who he is. So I've met people like that before on both sides of the aisle there. It's like, well, all right, let's just, use the present administration, for instance. I know they're, a bunch of pieces of shit, but I got lower taxes. I got this, I got that. So I'm okay with it. Then I saw the same thing during the Obama administration with some of my own relatives and friends, who said, I would bring up the fact that, I think it's kind of weak on this or that. And they would say, so what? He's a black president. So to me, that's the same thing, just said differently. And to me, those are the worst kind of people, like we had said before we started.
And dude, it's funny, like, viewing it through the lens of like that military sphere, because he does come from the military. Mm-hmm. Dude, we all know those people. Fuck you, I got mine. Like, that's a personality type in the military. Like, you can probably boil down the entire military into like 9 or 10 distinct personalities. That's a very distinct one.
Yeah.
You see it in a lot of really shitty senior NCOs and officers. Like I've got mine. I don't care. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And that's a bad way to go through life, man. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. God, and again, I don't know the guy, but I would have had a little respect for him if he had just ended it the way he started it. Don't all of a sudden try to half-ass 180 it and say, let's do better. And because that part is right, that, we should take care of people. We should, disenfranchise. All that is absolutely right. Start with that shit. Leave all that other shit out, because nobody's going to hear the rest of the message.
And no, I mean, I get what he was making a point to say, hey, screw your feelings about Bernie. It's time to unite the party.
Absolutely.
To beat Trump. Like, that's the point. And
yes.
Okay, you really don't need to shit on people to do
absolutely.
that. Like,
yeah. And we all make fun. We've all seen the memes, supposed, typical Trump voter, and the typical lib, all that. So we've all seen that stuff. We laugh at them. We post whatever it is. But this was just straight venom that this dude was spitting. In the streets, like, straight up, and I'm no gangster, but if he talked that shit in the streets, he's getting knocked the fuck out and his wallet's getting taken. Oh, you're rich? Well, let's have some of that. Let's share some of that social, that social wealth.
Oh shit, dude. Dude, you know he wouldn't last a day, man.
Nah,
He
fuck
wouldn't
that.
he wouldn't last a day with that shit.
Yeah, no,
Dude.
I'm sorry.
And that's the other thing, man. It's easy to be a tough guy when
Yep.
you're anonymous on there, man. It's easy to be.
Yep.
And it's easy to say, listen, you're a Trump supporter, you're a fat-faced dimwit who's uneducated, and he went on a little bit about, oh well, yeah, I'm this quote unquote woke vet soy sipping, because he's been called that thing by the like those. There's a group of those vets who are like older, and they're definitely a product of their time, and they really don't give a shit about how you feel or about them or anything like that. And they are crass. Like there's no two ways about it. Like they're not very tactful. But
and you know what? I lump them in the same category as him. Like all that woke vet shit, and even like I was just having this discussion with one of my daughters not long ago. She was like, "Oh, somebody called me a social justice warrior," and I was like, "Okay." And she was like, "Is that supposed to be an insult?" I said, "Listen, if you care about a certain topic and you're willing to protest for it or whatever it is you need to do, if that's the best name you can come up with, let them do it." I was like, "Don't even sweat that shit." It's just that's what we've boiled down to. Is just name calling,
and we're all guilty of falling into the trap. I know I am. Most of my military centered takes on Twitter ends up pissing off left-leaning vets, and it turns into a pissing match. And I fall into that same trap. I'm like, I mean, they are woke vets, and I say that because, I mean, both sides do it. Both sides signal. They signal different things.
Oh, yeah.
The right side signals to the echo chamber, and the left side signals to the virtue. Yep. And I think when you take it too far, so if your daughter wants to support a cause and things like that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think, it becomes a mockery when people just support those causes just to signal their virtue to the public and say, look at how open-minded I am.
Absolutely.
Look at how progressive I am.
Yes.
And they don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
It's about image.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, that's again, that goes to, like the echo chamber on the right that you're talking about. It's just how much of it is you really believe that, and how much of it is just to own the other side. I hate that shit. I hate when someone says, I'm going to own the libs, or I'm going to, whatever to the right or whatever. I'm like, why are you even in this game? Like, if you're voting, like, I get the whole never Trump thing, or when Obama was in, when it was brought up that our whole purpose now, since he was elected, is to get him out of office. I get all that, but we've way lost sight of the lighthouse here. We've lost sight of what voting is for, what politics are supposed to be for. And wow, I sound like a woke vet, I guess, but whatever, fight me. But yeah, but it gets corny, and I don't care. I'll say it. I have an older sister, and you want to talk about woke? Like, her Christmas card should be her sitting in a wicker chair with a high back, holding a spear in one hand, and a rifle in the other, with a black beret on. But she is exactly what you talked about when you talked about virtue signaling, because whatever the topic of the day is, she jumps all over and she's an expert on it. And it's like, so she gets mad when we have gatherings.
I mean, that's a good visual. Personally, I like the aesthetic of who are the guys that were cleaning up the streets, with the red berets and the suspenders.
Oh, the Guardian Angels.
The Guardian Angels.
Yeah, New York City.
I prefer that aesthetic. Oh, but dude, you're right, man. I mean, people are divided, and everybody's allowed to have their hard opinions. I have my hard opinions. I really do. Like, I really do, and I don't hide them.
Hold on, one sec, dude. Hold on. I think my wife's at the door. 1 second.
All right, go ahead. Take your time.
Did you call me?
Well, while you guys are waiting, Do another shout out to SOLATAC. You guys, seriously, you know what? We're gonna open this up real quick while we wait. Guys, take a look at this. It's got everything you need. Go buy one, you dingus. He's back. But yeah, man. Like I think everybody has their hard opinions, and that's okay. It's just the fact that I think people are more willing nowadays to really put others down.
Absolutely. And I think it's because and whatever. They can hide behind social media to do it. That's what I think the problem is.
Dude,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should go back to like the way 18th century political disagreements were handled.
Whoa, like, we were slaves then. Let's come.
Well, let's take one aspect. Not we. Let's take one aspect of that. Let's not go all the way back because I wouldn't look good in a tricorn. But I say we bring back the element of dueling. I think people would be more.
Yes.
Let's have people put their money where their mouth is. Like,
absolutely.
Burr and Hamilton.
Yep.
And Hamilton thought Burr was playing around.
Yeah.
He didn't think Burr would actually take the shot.
Till he got popped in the ass.
Hell yeah. But I mean, social media, man, it's too easy. I'm not anonymous online. You're semi-anonymous.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I kind of put out there. I definitely was when I was active duty. I didn't play into this whole game. But I'm not. I only do cool guy stuff on part time, and when it comes time to do real world cool guy stuff, it's too easy just to shut things down. But I put it out there, and I own that. So, like, I'm not gonna say anything that would be overly inflammatory because I kind of have a reputation on the line. Like, it's like, oh man,
I hear you, man.
It's kind of a piece of shit.
I mean, that's why I try to stay in my wheelhouse as much as I can. Like, I will give my really, really minimal opinion on politics because I can't say that I'm an expert on it. People start talking about the economy and stuff like that. I can talk limited about that. Hey, I got paid this week, and that's about it. So I try to stay in my wheelhouse. Having said that, if somebody decides they want to come for me, that's fine. You can run your mouth all you want on social media. I have no issue with that. But I've said it before on other podcasts, and I'll say it again. If it ever got serious, like, you can say whatever you want to me. I don't care. If someone ever threatened my family, which friends of mine on social media it's happened to, you threaten my family, I will put my little pennies together. I will freaking, fly whatever little airline, and I'll come see you. I got no problem with it.
It's boogaloo time.
Say all they want. What's that?
It's boogaloo time.
Exactly. I'll throw on my Hawaiian shirt, look like TC from Magnum PI. I don't care.
Man, like the black Magnum PI.
Yeah. Stands the sweet mustache, though.
I like it, man. It's nice.
When I was in the Marine Corps, I had a staff sergeant, and he didn't like my mustache, so he stood there in the room while I was shaving, and I got to a certain, he's like, all right, start on the right. So I'm shaving. He's like, now go to the left. So I'm shaving. And when it got to a Hitler, he's like, stop, you're good. He made me keep that. He made me keep that shit for like a week.
Wait, you couldn't just shave it?
No, he wouldn't let me.
Oh.
He didn't like it. Yeah, so he made me shave each side of it, and I had the little freaking Hitler going, and he made me keep it for a week.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would fly nowadays.
No. Oh, absolutely not. And if I gave this, done. Matter of fact, somebody probably just took a screenshot and was like, oh!
Oh, man. James Powell, white supremacist.
I just got this shit shut down.
He's done. Oh, man. Why do you have to be so problematic?
That's what I do.
That's my favorite word. Problematic. When I say something that's a little uncouth,
Yeah,
That's problematic.
it is.
God, dude, man, I don't want to keep you. This has been fun, dude. Let's get you on again, man.
Absolutely.
Like this is probably hands down one of the more, well, all of mine are relaxed, but this was great, man. And this is why I like doing it, because we can jump around. It's bros with bros. I like bringing guys in, especially some guys who, like, you know, they're out of the military, but you know, you I guarantee you miss that shit every day. Like, you miss
Absolutely.
that. You miss being around.
Yep.
I almost said your type.
It always circles back to that, doesn't it?
It comes right back. No, but you know, military guys miss being with military guys.
Absolutely.
And so I like doing this. I like bringing guys on. We're actually we're going to start bringing on like some old Vietnam vets to share their stories and kind of bring them back into the brotherhood a little bit. Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. But that's what I like, man. I bring guys on and it's just talk.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not experts.
When we talked before we started, you know, a couple of days ago, a week ago, whatever it was, and I'm like, you know, what's the format? And you were like, you just shoot the shit. That's how it should be.
That is, man. I mean, some guys, they can do a really good job with the whole structured podcast thing. They really can.
Mm-hmm.
BK, you know.
Oh yeah,
dude, that guy's podcast that's legit, man. For like 2.5 hours, he just talks, and it's structured. He knows every story that he's gonna hit.
Yep,
and it's awesome. I can't do that. Probably because I should have been medicated at a young age, but I never was. So no, man, I like having guys on, shoot the shit, have some fun, dude. Anytime you want. I've said it once. I've said it to every one of my guests. Every time, if there's something you want to talk about, just be like, Nick, why don't you get off your ass and have me on the show so we can talk about this? Joe Kent did that to me. Hey, he wasn't that mean, because Joe's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he seems like a really good guy.
But he was like, you know, when the whole females in SF thing came up, he goes, "Hey, do you mind if I come on the show and we like hash this out?" Great. So I always extend the offer to everybody.
Awesome,
dude.
Absolutely, I would love to. Definitely, those come back on, man. You have a good platform here, and for those listening that hit me up on Twitter about my dad, I really appreciate the love and the outpouring. He's good. He's in good spirits. You know, for those that don't know, he's got a severe bone infection in his leg, which is going to have to take his only remaining leg. He lost the other one 2 years ago. And then today we found out that the nursing home that he's in, because he's back and forth in the hospital, the nursing home was in, I guess the governor shut down visitation to all nursing facilities and care facilities. So we are not going to be able to get in to see him. So it's going to be phone calls, and if I can teach him how to use Skype or something, you know. But funny story though, he, in all of his wants, every single time I talk to him, he's like, Jay, I need a little, because my parents are divorced, and he's like, I just need some female companionship. And I keep saying, Dad, are you asking me to get you a hooker? Because I'm not doing that. And he's like, I didn't say that. He's like, but, and I'm like, all right, I'm out of here.
Hold up. Listen, I'm not saying I only have good ideas, but I only have usually better than mediocre ideas. What if we got your old man a Tinder? Like, we don't need to get him like a lady tonight. Your old man, no, your old man's a class act. He doesn't need that. No, let's get him some dates.
Hey, I'm for it. If they can break the quarantine, hey, I got no problem with it. Just as long as I'm not paying for it.
Or you and I put our brains together and we make geriatric Tinder, like
geriatric Tinder,
like just within each individual nursing home.
We can call it Quiver or something like that.
Oh man, you're hired, dude. You're hired. That's $1 million idea. Well, dude, I'm glad you're old man. I know, you know, I'm glad, because I know a few weeks back, you know, things were very much up in the air, but I'm glad that it sounds like the docs have a plan of action.
Yeah, absolutely.
As always, you and your family are in my prayers.
Appreciate it.
So I hope everything goes well. And And you and I will talk for sure.
Absolutely.
So, but dude, thank you so much for coming on. I had an absolute blast. Anytime I can just sit down, drink a beer, and laugh with a good guy, like, that's a good night in my book.
Sounds good. Yeah.
So
Same.
thanks, man. Guys, I always forget to say this, but if you like it, if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. It does a lot to get the podcast out there in the YouTube algorithm. If you guys are listening on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts, rather, give me a 5-star review. That helps a lot too. Guys, I don't ask for money to do this. This is fun for me. So it's not like I'm not making any money to pay for advertising or anything like that. So it's all word of mouth. So if you like it, spread it, share it, love it. Guys, thank you so much. Actually, hopefully we can get a little something going the next couple of days with another agency dude. We're gonna keep it a surprise because we haven't ironed out details, but we'll see how it goes. But it might be agency week on the After Action Review.
Nice.
So thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.